Okay, so welcome back. We are going to do our grade code. Okay, so for those of you that didn't watch the last video, right there I explained um, that the problem was given 5 grades, the program is going to calculate an average, and it's going to tell us whether the student has passed or failed. Okay, we saw that we need to give the program an input of 5 grades. It's going to calculate an average. That variable is going to use it internally, and it's simply just going to tell us whether the student has passed or failed. Therefore, we established that we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables that are going to be our grades, and we also need an internal variable called a, which is our variable, which we then in turn will compare to 70. If a is greater or equal to 70, we pass. If a is less than 70, we fail. There are 2 possible outcomes, therefore we can use an if structure. Okay, so let's continue. And remember, let's work with flowcharts. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do, remember, the first thing is to declare what variables. So we define G1, comma, G2, comma, G3, comma, G4, comma, G5. We define G1, G2, G3, G4, G5, and our variable A as integers. Okay? We're done with that. And then we're going to ask our user for the grades. So we're going to be a little bit more polite this time. Please input grades. Okay, please input the grades. Now at this point, I'm not sure if you can input those 5 grades at the same time. So let's just try. So let's see G1, comma, G2, comma, G3, comma, G4, comma, G5. Let's see if that works, okay? It's going to define G1, G3, G2 to G5, and then we're going to ask the user to fill those variables with numbers, G1, G2, G3, G4, G5, okay? So, let's continue. And we're going to go directly into the process. What are we going to do with those 5 grades? Well, we're going to calculate the average right here. So let's say that average, so A, we're going to store into A the value for G1 plus G2 plus G3 plus G4 plus G5, all of that divided by 5. Then, now that we calculated our average, then we can just simply check with one simple if structure. So remember, this is an if structure. Take it, put it here, and we're going to say if A is greater or equal than 70, what happens when A is greater or equal than 70? Well, let's print out. Oh, print, come on, okay. So let's say you pass. Exclamation point. Okay, you pass. And if A is not greater or equal than 70, that means that it's less than 70. Then we can just simply say you fail. Okay, and we are done. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's see if we can do this. Okay, let's see if it runs. So let's click. Okay, at least it works. Okay, let's see. Let's try with 5 simple 100s. So we know 100, 100, 100, 100, and 100. The average of 5 100s should be 100, right? And we should pass. So you pass. Correct. Now let's input other grades. So let's say 80, 54, 70, 34, and 100. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Line 5, error 314, no coinciden los tipos, el valor a asignar debe ser un entero. I don't know what that happened because these are integers. Oh, I know what happened. A, we don't know that A necessarily is going to be an integer, okay? we don't know that a is going to be an integer, right? So we need to define a as floating point. Uh, so let's see what we can do right now. Okay, so we need to define a. A should be defined, and I don't know how this thing defines float. I don't know. Let me stop here. Let's see how it works in the. Let's ask for help. Help me. Oh, there we go. Types of data. Simple, numérico. Ok, tanto enteros como reales. Ok. So let's call it numérico. Ok. Real, entero, carácter. Okay, so let's call it a real. So these are the 4 data types for numbers, okay? Real, integer, logic, which is 0 or 1, or character, okay? So since we're using decimal points, we need to define a as a real point, okay? So let's close this and define a as real, okay? Now, in theory, it should work. What happened here? Since I defined a as an integer, that means that average, the number average, could only be a positive integer, un entero. But since we are dealing with an average, if this thing divided by 5 is not an integer, it's storing it into a box that can only have integers. So if this thing is not an integer, then the program crashes because it says, hey, you told me that a was only meant for integers, and now you're trying to assign something that is not an integer into a. So that's why the problem crashed. So now what I had to do was to define a as a real number instead of an integer, okay? If I define a as a real number, then we can have some decimal places. So let's see, we can run it, and let's see, 34, 100, 70, 80, and 65. Let's see if the student passes. You fail, okay? We're done. How can we show the average? Well, we can show it here, for example. So we can print out, for example, your average is comma a. So let's see if that works. So let's please input the grades: 100, 45, 70, 65, and 80. It says your average is 72. You pass. We're done. Okay, so let me put here another space so that it actually separates the value a. Let's run it. 30, 20, 10, 40, and 100. Okay, your average is 40. You fail. Okay, so this is our program that is defining whether or not we pass or fail given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. Okay, so given 5 numbers, we define whether the student has passed or the student has failed. Maybe I can make this problem a little bit more complicated, but I'm just going to stop right now and continue working on this on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.